to be honest, the competitions is where I honed my skill in. Like that's how I became a better installer. I started competing in 2012. Like where my skills got better was from that competition. I went into that competition thinking that like I was like the master, like I'm winning this.
Sure.
Got humbled real quick.
I'm not the type that like just accepts money and then uses it and tells people it's good if it's not. I'm 100% honest, and I let brands know that.
But it's that slow grind, and like you gotta do that with everything about your business.
I have learned is there are a lot of people who like their steaks cooked differently, and instead of being like some social media influencers who are like, you're the devil, why even eat red meat? I am more accepting. If that's how you like your meat, let me teach you how to cook it properly so that it at least tastes good.
Yeah.
But it's not fair for me to just tell you like American Idol, like, oh, you're so great, mama loves it, because that's not gonna help you grow.
Yep.
And I wanna help people grow.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Born to Tint podcast with the Miller Brothers. Excited for another episode with my big brother, Josh.
How's it going, everybody? Today we have an episode that's gonna leave you wanting to go eat some barbecue. We got Christie with Girls Can Grill. We have a lot in common when it comes to competing in our craft and our industry, and we have a lot of conversation about that. Check it out.
What got you into grilling? What was the drive there? I've never asked that question, but I've always been curious, and I've never had the time to interact, like have that conversation.
Yeah, I've always loved to cook, and my husband actually deployed, and we got a grill in the backyard, and it was one of those grills that had different insets. You could do a pizza on it, you could do a wok in it, and I was already cooking inside, so I was like, why don't I just see what I cook inside and just experiment outside? And my husband wasn't there because he was deployed, so it didn't matter if I messed it up because it was just for me. So if I messed it up, nobody had to know. This was way before social media. And then over time I got better, but I never really nailed smoking and barbecue. It was just the fast grilling. Until there was a World Championships event here in Vegas, and they were giving away the big green eggs after the event. And because I was local, I was like, yeah, I'll take one. And I brought it home, and I cooked on it for the first time, actually smoking meat, and it turned out so much better than the little cheap smoker that I've been trying to cook on for over the years. And then I realized how much I loved it and the passion and just the creativity with adding the smoke flavor, and transitioned into competition barbecue eventually, and now it's my life, it's my business, so it's crazy.
So into the competition, like that is, I mean, that's what kind of got me hooked, I would say, more into barbecuing. I came across, I think it was Pitmasters, the TV show, and then like just watching them cook the meat, I was like, oh, this is satisfying. This is so satisfying. And then this also them explaining why you do certain things with smoking, resting the meat aside, pulling it out to begin with, and I was like, wow, there is a lot that goes into this. I can only imagine what goes into those competitions.
Yeah, it's very formulaic, and it's really interesting. It's not the same as cooking in your backyard. I mean, there's so many things that we do to manipulate the meat so it looks perfectly pretty, to put it in the box. Obviously, we're injecting, or sometimes brining, just adding a boost of flavor, because the judges really take one bite, and that's it. They may take 2 bites, but it's very minimal, and so you've got to pop with flavor, you got to be juicy. So it's definitely a lot of practice goes into it just for that one bite, but it's so satisfying in the end when you hear your name called. It hooks you. My first competition, I got a call, and then I was like, okay, I want to keep doing this, and here I am.
So if anything, going to a competition sparked it, or even I say solidified the fact of being able to hone in that skill.
Yeah, absolutely.
And start mastering it when it comes down to it.
Yeah, and that was I think 2017, and then in 2022 I actually won that whole competition.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so within
That's
5
cool.
years. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So I'm assuming it's similar to us. We go to the tin-off competitions, and we always learn a lot from the other competitors. Is that, like, you think a big value in going to those is talking with the other competitors, seeing what they're doing, kind of like share? Does that happen there? Are you guys sharing secrets, or are everybody in the grill industry still keeping it like tight to the chest?
No, it's actually really cool, and I didn't know what it would be like, before I entered it. But people, like, it's a family. Like, you can ask questions. Everybody holds back a little bit because, you don't want to share everything. But there's also cooks who will give full-on classes and do the tell-alls because they're so confident in what they do that I'll give you my recipe and techniques, but you're still not going to beat me.
That's awesome.
And so, but it's cool. Everybody shares. If you forget an ingredient, they'll help you out and they'll give you an ingredient. If you ask a couple questions, they'll be like, yeah, I marinate for 3 hours or 2 hours. And so, yeah, it's a family.
That's cool.
Where did it? Because I know that you were going after the social media thing, like that, like what? How many years ago?
2015 is when I launched Girls Can Grill.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, what sparked that? Because that's so far ahead of the curve. Because now that's kind of like that's almost mainstream now. When it comes down to it, is like if you want to expand your business model, you have to expand your social media. You gotta separate yourself from people, especially if you're starting now. The fact that you started in 2015, what sparked that? Because that was well ahead of the game when it comes to getting out there in social media.
Yeah, it really has to do with what my background is. So I have a master's in strategic communications and public relations. So I was doing all of this for the government. So I helped launch some of the first Army websites and first social media platforms for the Army. I worked for the National Park Service and for the Air Force, and I was doing all of this as it was evolving. So then when I realized I could take these skills and do it for something that I was really passionate about, which was cooking and grilling, it just was a natural like transition to create videos and take photos and then do the social media.
You see with us, we finally have made that leap over the past year. And I mean, he'll love hearing this. He's been wanting to do it for like the past, before this, so technically 3 years ago, he wanted to start like, we got to do a podcast, man. We got to do a podcast. I'm like, who in the hell wants to listen to us talk? What really, come on, when it comes down to it. But now that we've gotten to the point where we're at now and realizing that when it comes down to it, it's just informing the public when it comes down to it, and trying to expand the knowledge of what we're doing, how we do it, and all that. I mean, like I said, that's what technically got me into say smoking meat and stuff. Like now I have a pellet grill or pellet smoker, which I know there is a factor or a section of smokers or barbecuers that will say that's not smoking a meat. Now, is that true?
I'm not of that category.
Okay.
So in my opinion, anything that gets you outside using smoke to cook meat is fine. Like, I don't care what your tool is. And pellets have their place. Like, they're easy. They give people confidence. You don't have to worry about dirty charcoal. You don't have to worry about, the poof of the gas ignition. It's just easy. You set it, you forget it, you go on with your day, and you have brisket. Like, it's great. Personally, I love the flavor of charcoal better, and I tend to cook with charcoal and wood more. But, yeah, pellet grill has its place.
Yeah. Now, how do you deal with, because you probably have come across this, that, this is a competition, like, that's so stupid, like, because people are going to make those dumb. We had our first piece, which is not technically not even our piece of content, it's just I so happened to be in it. We were at a competition, and I was just tinting a window, and the guy posted it, and at first it popped to like over 500,000, and then like by like 48 hours, it was over like 2 million. We were like, holy hell. And now it's like, I think it's barely been a week. It's at like 11.7 million. And it's just like, holy crap. Like, this is crazy. And then I started going through, because that was the one thing, like I was like, should we be doing something with this? So like we reached out to our business coach, one of our mentors, and I was like, should I be doing something? And he's like, to stay engaged, just engage in the comments, like driving back to your page type thing. And I was like, okay. And like just reading through the comments and some of the just unfortunately stupid comments of like one guy's like, oh, we'll turn anything into a competition. How barbaric. And I was like, to be honest, the competitions is where I honed my skill in. Like that's how I became a better installer. I started competing in 2012. Like where my skills got better was from that competition. I went into that competition thinking that like I was like the master, like I'm winning this.
Sure.
Got humbled real quick. And then from there realized that there are different levels to this. And then also seeing so many different people install or do something in a different way, which I'm assuming the barbecue is the same thing. Like watching someone do something a completely different way, you're like, that's not a bad idea. And then you slowly incorporate that and tweak it. And it's like, this is how I hone my craft, And it has nothing to do with me. That was what the person said. It was like, anything to say that you're better than another person. It's like, that's not why I'm there.
Right.
I'm there to grow my industry, perfect my craft, and then hopefully pass that along onto the technical next generation that I want to bring into my business, because I need more installers when it comes down to it. So I got replied back with it. He's like, oh, that makes sense. Like, I get that. But, and then he tried like explaining it away. I'm like, no, you knew what you were saying there. So how much of that do you have to deal with?
A lot. There are a lot of trolls. I will say I have a similar situation where I did a chicken trimming video. It was maybe 45 seconds of how I trim a chicken thigh. It is not what you would do in your backyard. Like, it is intense with scissors and scraping skins and all sorts of stuff. And it got, I think like 10 to 12 million views also. And the comments were just insane. Girls can't grill. I get that all the time. Since my name is Girls Can Grill, it's like, girls can't grill. You don't know what you're doing. Where's the seasoning? And I wasn't even to that stage yet. But I just figure any engagement is engagement. So I answered some, and then there's the warriors that kind of defend me. I didn't even have to like defend myself. The competitive cooks will come in and be like, "You look at her trophies. You don't know what you're doing." And so, you just kind of depend on people that are going to help you out, and then you got to have thick skin, because at the end of the day, they're just keyboard warriors. They've never competed in their life, and they don't know. They just want to have their voice heard.
Oh no, I purposely went through, and any comment that someone was trying to make a slick comment, I'm like, love. Love. I'm like, thank you. Just keep it coming, please. Just keep going. And the same thing did happen though. Like there was a guy who made a comment about how it's just like sticking a sticker. My 5-year-old daughter could do that, and like I was about to respond to it. I was like, yeah, no, I don't. And then I just went on to the next one. And all of a sudden, I like went back in because I was trying to engage as much as possible. I went back in and I realized like they had like 4 or 5 replies underneath it. I started clicking on it, and just the people going like, yeah, no, this is much harder than you, like, and then all of a sudden they started going at it. I'm like, ooh, and then I saw an opportunity for me to jump in where I finally made a comment about, because he comes from our industry. The guy who came from our industry, he did car wraps, so he was comparing car wraps to flat glass tinting. So I inserted myself and started talking back and forth, and it came down to it, like him saying, like, I understand what you're doing. You're driving everyone back to your page. And I'm like, well, yeah, no, dude, I want to say, yes, please keep engaging with me. Keep this going. Like, this is one of the longest threads we have on here right now. There's like literally 12 to 14 replies to your one comment. Let's just keep this going.
Yeah.
And no, that was the one thing that when talking to our mentor, I was just like, you just stay engaged.
Yeah.
Like engagement's everything.
One of the things that I did recently is I did a new trimming video, but I pulled the comments from that original video, and I blacked out the names, but I just did the comments and I posted them on screen on the video throughout it, like saying, you're doing it wrong, the girls can't, all the negative stuff. And then I just reposted that. And I'm like, what do you guys think? And at the end, I did show my trophies this time, like first place chicken stuff. And then that didn't get as many views. I think it got like 100,000 or something, but it got people engaged again, got them coming back to my page to learn more about how to cook competition chicken. And yeah, it's all about just keeping that conversation going, and ultimately driving them to my brand, because that's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that was every single comment I made, literally, and it was, well, you can follow us page, and then you can also watch our podcast link.
Yeah.
Like every single one. Like I had numerous ones like already like copied and pasted and queued up, like, oh, you're doing that wrong. All right, copy, paste. Let me tweak it a little bit and send. Let's keep this thing going. And it's just like watching it grow. I was like, this is crazy. And when seeing how much is being shared around, it's like, oh, this makes no sense. But I'm gonna keep this going for as long as I possibly can.
For sure.
See where I can help.
Social media is definitely interesting. It's a whole new world.
Yeah, it's kind of like learning an entire new skill, like grilling or tinning. Like there's every day you can learn something and tweak it and adjust it. And I mean, have either of you seen Mr. Beast's most recent post?
Not his most recent one.
On Instagram.
Oh, the Tesla one?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you tagged me in it.
Okay.
What do you mean?
Go back and look at it, how many comments and how many likes it has right now. He just posted it like a day ago, and it has like 12 million likes and like 6 million comments. And it's like, it's really crazy. Like the engineering behind that post and how it, like, in order to win one of those Teslas, you have to like it, you have to make sure you're following his page, and you have to tag 2 people in the comments.
Okay, yep.
So who doesn't want to win a Tesla from Mr. Beast because they know it's not a scam? He's going to give them away.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, that's going to be probably the most shared, commented, liked post ever on Instagram in the next couple days.
Yeah, no, I have to actually subscribe to him on YouTube, because I swear to God, if I ever get stopped, because I see those videos where he's stopping the kids on the college campuses and stuff, and like, do you follow me? Oh, you don't. All right, do you follow me? Oh, you do? Here's 10 grand.
Right.
And it's like, oh my God, like, God. All right. So I know I follow him on most things now. Especially as soon as you sent that to me, I was like, damn, am I following him on Instagram? No, I'm not. Now I am.
Yeah.
That's just top of my mind, because if you actually like go back and listen to him on Joe Rogan explain his little journey into it, is like the coolest thing ever. He just didn't stop, and he was constantly working at getting better at YouTube. Yeah. That was his goal. I want to be the best YouTuber, and I'm going to spend every hour of every day, and I'm going to surround myself with other people that's what they want to do, and I'm going to have a group of people that I work with, and look where he's at now. Yeah. Like, just his chocolate company's worth billions of dollars. Like, crazy.
Good for him, for sure.
It's insane. But it's that slow grind, and like, you got to you got to do that with everything about your business.
Yeah, and in my industry, it's partnering with people too. Like right now, I'm actually giving away a $5,000 griddle on my Instagram. I don't have 6 million people entered because I don't have that kind of following, but definitely it's the same thing. It's like it, comment, all that kind of stuff. And so those partners that can help elevate you and give away that type of product and stuff is something that's beneficial on my side.
Oh yeah, no, it's. I think we got something from you. I don't know if Jordan. I know Jordan has it. I want to say he has used it, but like when he told me about it, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's like one of those high intense heat steak grills. Yeah, I don't even remember which brand it was, but I am very fortunate that I've cooked on dozens of grills. Have like 30 in my backyard right now, and I don't know that I've paid for but maybe one of them. Like they want me to try them. They want me to give them my feedback as like what works, what doesn't. Sometimes I do get beta testing of grills, but most of them are already on the market. And then either they just give it to me and then I use it, or they give it to me, they pay me to use it, a variety of things. And I will never use something that I don't like. I'm not the type that like just accepts money and then uses it and tells people it's good if it's not. I'm 100% honest, and I let brands know that.
So, all right, on that note, let me think here. Charcoal grill. What's your favorite one? Or which ones do you recommend? I'm gonna say your favorite one. So which ones?
Sure.
What do you recommend? Because I want to pick your brain here for a second.
Okay, so there's different styles, and so I will say it depends on how much effort you want to give. So on the competition circuit,
That's a good way to put it right there.
like if you have $100, get a Weber kettle, but it's going to require you to manage the temperature with the intake and the exhaust and kind of nurse it a little bit. I mean, it's great for hamburgers, but for slow smoking, it's going to be a little bit more challenging. If you want to do competition, drum smokers are 100% the thing. That's actually what my Barbecue Tips podcast is going to be about this week, is drum smokers. But the Hunsaker is my favorite. Charcoal goes in the bottom. You open the air intake on the bottom, air intake on the top, and it just rides steady at like 275, 300 degrees. If you want a pellet style functionality with charcoal, the Masterbuilt Gravity Series is by far the one I will use like on a weeknight because it's so easy. You load charcoal in the hopper instead of pellets, and you light it, and then you set the temperature on the digital control, and it does the same thing that a pellet grill does. There's a fan inside, it kicks on, but you get the flavor of charcoal, which is what I love.
Oh, that's pretty sick.
I did not know that even existed. Oh,
What was the name of that one?
It's the Masterbuilt. They have a Gravity Series one. They have an XT that just came out that has a little bit better functionality. And then they have a $500 range one that's called the Auto Ignite. It doesn't have the same kind of hopper, but it works the same. You just fill this smaller little charcoal area, and it's still all digital. So
Now, with growing your social media into now where it's gotten to now, have you seen, obviously, like you said, building your brand? Obviously, you've seen the importance of pushing your brand and where you started from 2015 to where you're at now.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you're being able to partner up and now you have people coming to you like, hey, will you test this?
yeah.
Like, and then so it's the slow, steady grind of that. Obviously, you've seen the reaping the benefits of it when it comes down to it.
Mm-hmm.
How long did that take to get to that point? Just because the main reason why I'm asking is everybody wants to, like, I'm going to start doing this, and they don't see that immediate return.
Yeah.
Or it's like, oh, I only got this many views, I only got this. And like, we kind of, saying I'm going through that, but also just realizing like, hey man, if I have someone who views a video, like 500 people view a video, that's 500 people that viewed a video. Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, how long would you say that it take for that slow grind to get to a point where you're really starting to see the reaping the benefits of building the brand? Because that's the biggest thing, is that you're building a brand where people can trust what you're saying and what you're doing when it comes down to it.
I would say I was lucky because I was an early adopter, as we talked about, especially on TikTok. So I gained my 50,000 followers on TikTok fast because I was way at the beginning. Before, like, I started at the same time that there was these guys now who have like millions of followers on TikTok and barbecue, but I stopped because I was doing all the things, and I wish I hadn't because that would have grown. But I will say, if you're building a brand, one of the most important things is thinking about what your brand name is, making sure it's not trademarked by somebody else, and then making sure that you can get all the social handles for it that are matching, and the .com. Because it's frustrating for the user if you're like, girls can grill on one, and then girl _ can _ because people just don't know. So you want it to be as consistent as possible. And then there's no formula that I can say is successful. Honestly, keeping up with the algorithms of the social media, they change all the time. And you think you're doing things good. And I was on Instagram for a long time, and I was hitting, 100 new followers constantly. And then I just like screeched for like 6 months. And I was like, I'm doing the same thing I've always been doing. I'm doing the reels, I'm doing the stories. And then it finally started picking back up. And I don't know why, but I'm, riding that while I can. TikTok is steady. Like, sometimes my videos get 300 views, sometimes they get 10,000 views. Like, there's no rhyme or reason that I can think of. I think be authentic, be informative, be entertaining. But realize that now, compared to 2015, there's a lot of people out there trying to hustle and do this. And you've got to find your niche. You've got to figure out what makes you different and unique. And again, entertaining, that people want to spend their time. And sometimes people only want to give you 15 seconds. So make it the best 15 seconds that you can.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the entertaining part. That's I would say the problem or where I struggle. I mean, I didn't want.
Yeah, you're not very entertaining.
No, well, no, it's. I don't want to put a persona on. I'm not trying to do
Yes.
anything to where it's not like, oh, it's just not me when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
You know, so I've had the hardest time with social media. I separated myself from it. Like I had a Facebook, and I only had a Facebook because my wife created it for me, and that's the only reason why I had one. And then that kind of where it's at. And then I have Instagram now, and the only reason I have Instagram is because I started looking at the fact that all right, we're gonna grow the business. Like, all right, I have to participate. Like that is the direction of when marketing and all that, and our reaching, getting out and spreading the word of our industry, anything like that, or trying to educate people. It's being done through social media. So it's kind of like, all right, I got to stop whining about this and just kind of do it and go after it. And then now it's like, I was telling him last night, like after that one video popped, I kept getting the same remark over and over again about how I did something. Well, they didn't see like the first 5 minutes of us prepping and getting our stuff ready and getting to a certain point. Just the video starts of me actioning, tinting a window. So I put together, and when I say I put together, I talked into ChatGPT of what I wanted to say, and then it arranged it to where it seemed like I knew what I was saying, or not knew what I was saying. Like I was talking like an adult, not a 5-year-old. Because that was the other thing too. I've never really engaged on social media because when I'll go to type something out, I'm looking at it, I'm like, I'm pretty sure the grammar on this is just terrible. I don't want to hear it. Delete, move on with my day. Sure. Now I have the tool where I can go to ChatGPT, say, okay, this is what I'm trying to explain, check my grammar. And it's like, close.
Yeah.
And then it rearranges it, puts the punctuation where it needs to be, maybe switches up some things to clarify. I'll read through it. I'm like, okay, that's exactly what I was trying to say.
Adds
Perfect.
a couple emojis.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but then copy and paste it. And then I had one guy who was like, I get it, but I don't. And I was like, hey, I'm heading to my shop right now. And I told him, I'm heading to my shop right now. I'll post a video real quick. Went down to my shop, had one of my guys hold my phone. Yep. Put a work shirt on real quick. Like I was heading to a birthday party with my son, take him to a water park. And like I put a work shirt on real quick, and I was like, all right, record me. And I just kind of went through the breakdown real quick, posted the reel, and then now every time someone asks that question, I put my explanation, I copy and paste the reel in there to where it's like, all right, let me drive you over to here real quick, watch this over here. But the power to be able to sit there and just throw that explanation out there of here, watch this. This is how it's going to do, and just push it that way. Like that's
smart.
It's definitely become something where I understand the power of it now and the importance of it when it comes down to it. If you are going to grow your brand when it comes down to it, and also just grow educate the community, the populace, in what you're doing when it comes down to it. And
put yourself in their shoes. Like, would you want to watch it? Would you find it informational? Like, I think that some people have a little bit of an ego and they create things that they think are cool. But if you don't put yourself in the shoes of the person who's going to watch it, like, think of the average person, whoever your demographic is. Like, is it a mom? Is it a dad? Is it, a college kid? Whatever the demographic, and like, just think, is this something that they would watch? And I think that can help too.
Yeah, totally. And that's a crazy, powerful thing about video in my mind, compared to like even with AI helping you change your grammar and try to make it worded properly. It's low resolution communication. Like the other person on the other end has to then read it the proper way. And now that's why you see the comments go crazy but compared to a video where you're showing a physical example, explaining how much more detail and resolution is in that piece of content that now we can use forever. Anytime anybody ever asks, like, how did you do that? Like, watch this video. Done. You don't have to explain it ever again.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I believe me. Like I said, I'm now understanding the power of it, and I mean, just that by itself, like the video that went viral, like it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't our piece of content. It was a competition we were at, and he's starting to slowly trickle out everything he captured. And beyond that, I think that video that was even taken of me wasn't even him. It was someone that was there that sent him the video. So he credited them for taking the video. But like, just watching someone do something simple, sparks the people that are like, this is stupid. And it's like, please just keep going. Keep
Right.
commenting. But yes, please share it and talk all you want. Just keep sharing. I absolutely love it. And then that sparked into a conversation of me engaging with someone, explaining it, in which a lot of people are like, well, isn't the water going to have to dry out? I'm like, well, and then I explained to them what it is.
Sure.
And it's like creating that engagement just with that simple, it was just entertainment when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
And then the capability to sit there and reply back to them with like, well, here, watch this real quick. I mean, quick, it's very, rudimentary when it comes down to it. Like quick, simple, quick shot video, which I want to go do a more in-depth video of it now to where it's like, because that is a common question. Like it gets pulled constantly. So it's like, why not lean into it? Let's lean into it and show them what we're doing when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
So.
I love too that you said that you went and put your shirt on, because I think that comes down to the branding too. Like you could have shot that in whatever t-shirt you might have been wearing, but like wearing that is just reinforcing that the knowledge and education is coming from Green Valley Tint. It's not just coming from some guy who thinks he knows how to tint.
Oh yeah, no, it took me probably about more time than I probably should have to locate which wall I was going to do it in front of. And I ended up landing on the wall that has our logo gigantic behind me. So yeah, like if the camera was out, so first when we first did the first like little test shot, I'm like, all right, now step in 2 more spots. I'm wearing flip flops. Get that out of the video.
Yeah.
just get my upper torso and just get my hands. Let me point out what I'm doing. Keep my shoes out of this.
Yep.
And then shot it real quick, and then just the power to be able to do that and send it off. And like that took like 15 minutes, sent it off, and like as soon as the guy saw the video, he goes, I understand now. Thank you, appreciate it. And just something else I got to put out there.
I actually was watching a couple of your videos this morning, and so the Girls Can Grill brand. I know you've got your website. What are you spending most of your time on now? I saw that you're like sponsoring teams for competitions around the country, including one here in Vegas. And what all are you actually doing right now besides making the video content? If I go to your website, what am I going to find?
Yeah, so the number one kind of goal that I have is just to get more people interested in grilling and to make it approachable, kind of teach people. And it was actually hard. I came up with Girls Can Grill at the beginning because there was not very many women in barbecue. Now with social media, I think it has become approachable, and especially with pellet grills, it's just a lot easier. So there are a lot of women in barbecue, more so, not, it's not 50-50 necessarily, but through my brand, it is the social media education. It's my website, so I'm very detailed on recipes, on barbecue tips, how to trim a brisket, how to pick out a brisket, how to thaw a brisket. Like I go down into every minutia of different cuts like that, big barbecue meats. I'm also a competitor. I also do demos. I'm doing a demo in Colorado in July. I'm doing a big live fire extravaganza cook in Memphis next week for 3 days. We're doing 4 whole hogs and steamship rounds and all sorts of stuff. I did have a spice line. I'm getting a new co-packer, so that'll be coming back out soon. But yes, I have finally reached a point financially where now I can actually give back. And my scholarship, my Girls Can Grill scholarship, was to 9 young women across the country who are interested in competition barbecue. And it's an expensive sport. And they've started to enter, and some have done really, really well, and some are just kind of new at it. And so I wanted to give them a little bit of money to help them with their journey and keep them interested as long as they are, and just support that. So it's been good to give back.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like I saw that this morning. I was like, that's so cool. So the local team here, it was the Lucky
Ladies Barbecue.
Lucky Ladies Barbecue.
Yeah.
And do they just compete, or do they have like a food truck, or are they actually? Is there some? Can I go get their food?
So their dad runs a company called Smoke Keto. So he does all like keto barbecue, which you guys might like.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And he does
Smoke Keto.
catering
That's
and stuff.
That's a great name.
Yeah. So and then they help, and then he's competed as Smoke Keto, and he's got 5 little girls. And they just get in there and they get their sleeves rolled up. They'll spend the night in the cot, in the truck, whatever, and they'll do all the stuff too. And they've won a few of the Kids Q competitions. And so they transitioned the name to Lucky Ladies Barbecue since it's all these girls. And he's also a dealer. I think he was at the Trop. I'm not sure. He might have moved somewhere else now. But so yeah, he just really encourages them, and then he's really good at barbecuing himself. And I think they're going to be at the Boulder City competition Memorial Day weekend here in Nevada.
Oh, well, that's where I'll be.
Yeah, I'll be there too. So.
Okay.
I think I have to make my way out there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think I might have to make my way out there.
Yeah, it's a fun one. It's called Best Damn Barbecue.
Okay.
Now with these competitions, this is more me. I wanted more question for myself, I guess. How much time do you have? Because like I said, I've watched like the show Pitmasters. Is it a lot like that? Where like, I mean, you got to be like you're saying, like they're sleeping out there. Like you got to be on top of watching the meat because I mean, if something you have checking temperatures and stuff. So like, how much time do you get, and how much of a grind is it to get into a competition, let alone win the competition when it comes down to it?
So when it's the Kansas City Barbecue Society, KCBS competitions, we know the 4 meats that we're cooking, so which is a little bit different than Pitmasters where you show up and you kind of open a box. We know what we're cooking and we bring our own meat. You just can't season it ahead of time. You can usually get there on Thursday or Friday. Meat inspections happen, and then once that happens, either Thursday or Friday, then you can start doing whatever you want. You could start cooking it technically. When I started out, I was cooking slow and low, so I would start my pits Friday night, and yeah, we did a competition on Fremont Street. Sleeping in a cot on Fremont Street is an experience, I will tell you.
I bet.
That was a memorable one. We did that one twice. And then you turn in your meats in 30-minute intervals on Saturday, so at noon, 12:30, 1, and 1:30. And that's the biggest challenge, is like getting everything ready, holding it, and having it perfect and ready in those 30-minute windows and getting it sliced. And you don't know, like you cook your brisket, and you don't know that it's going to be good until you slice into it, 30 minutes before you're turning into the judges. Because if you slice it early, it's going to dry out. So
now, can you cook multiples to like have?
You can.
So you can have like a backup. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to try this one this way and this one this way.
Except I cook Wagyu brisket, so it's like $300 a
Yeah.
brisket. So, yeah, I'll do like 4 pork butts, 4 racks of ribs, like 15 or so chicken thighs. But yeah, briskets, I'm usually just cooking one. But now I cook hot and fast, which means I'm cooking at like 275 to 350 degrees in my drum smokers. And so now I can get up at like 4 to 5 in the morning and get those lit on Saturday and have everything ready. My brisket takes about 5 hours with that method.
What made you switch?
Sleep. So I was actually on Fremont Street.
Valid.
I was on Fremont Street, and these guys were just like up partying and not doing anything. And I was manning the pits, and I was like, what's going on? And then they roll back out at 5 in the morning, and I'm like, I have been up all night. I was very new still. I'm like, what are you guys doing that I'm missing? And he's like, hot and fast, girl. You got to switch things up. And so they explained to me this new technique, or maybe not so new, but new to me. And I tried it a few times, and then, I was sold. The meat's delicious. I mean, everything turns out just as good, and you save yourself so much time.
Now, is there a distinct one side to each of that argument, and the fact that will people say no, you have to do it slow and low like
Sure.
that? Okay, so but do you feel like the meat turns out the same though?
Well, what's interesting is in the end, there's judges, as you guys know when you do your competition. So it's what the judges enjoy. So when I judge the World Championships, the Jack Daniel's World Championships in Tennessee, and I'm at the table with the judges, they do like the slow and low Texas brisket with the bark and the smoke that's really infused. And what we do with hot and fast brisket is we cook it hot and fast, we get that bark on it, but then we put it in a pan of jus, so it kind of can have a roast beef tendency or texture to it, and they notice that. And so, yes, some judges are like, this isn't what I'm looking for. I really want that Texas barbecue. But I think now that so many cooks have transitioned to hot and fast, the judges have also transitioned their palates to know that this is still a really good Wagyu brisket. So
Now, how's that technique, since everyone's transferring over? Obviously, if everyone's transferring over, that is going to get perfected more and more and more. So I'm assuming from when it first was, or when they first were doing it before the transition of everybody, probably tastes one way. Now it's at a point where people are perfecting that technique.
100%. They're figuring out how to reduce that roast beef consistency, how to get more of that smokiness, how to create a better bark. There's definitely, over time, there's things I've changed since I started cooking hot and fast. And I have the fortune of being a judge also, so I get to hear that feedback from them so I can make adjustments. And I've been in kind of a rut in 2024 with my scores. I've not been hitting calls like I usually do, so I said I'm going to pause. I'm going to go judge. So I flew to California and I judged, and I mingled with all the judges, and I heard the feedback. I gave my scores, and it was valuable. It taught me that the cooks out here are really good. Like, the competition's stiff, so that's one of the reasons. But I was also able to taste the different flavor profiles, hear what the judges liked, and so that just kind of helps me hone my craft a little bit more.
Yeah, I think
Smart.
I think that's always been my biggest draw, because like I said, I've been competing since 2012, and like last year I was fortunate enough to win one of the competitions. At the end of it, I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm done. I want to go to go to judging, because I want to see the other side when it comes down to it. Like, I want to critique someone's work when it does come down to it and see how that goes. Everyone has their opinion on a judge until you're in their shoes, and then you have to do their job, and then you're like, oh, now I understand. That's my biggest draw to it. So even seeing that in a different industry, like I could, it makes me want to go towards it even more now.
Yeah.
Just because I want to be on that other, I want to see that other perspective when it comes down to it.
Well, and before I competed, I took the judging class and did judge a competition because I wanted to know what I was stepping into. Like, what are judges looking for? I sat next to a judge recently who's never smoked a brisket in his life, but he's judging brisket. So you have to think about, he's not going to know the nuances of, did they do this or did they do that or did they have the heat too high? He's just like, does this taste like a good brisket? So there's a varying group of people out there that are judging, and I think being behind the scenes is beneficial to a competitive person. Yeah.
I can only imagine that. Yeah, that's good. How many judges are there for?
It depends on how many teams. So each table has 6 judges at it, and they will get 6 pieces of meat. So not every judge judges every person. So like a cook will turn in a box of 6 pieces of meat, and that will go to one table, and that one table will judge those 6 slices of brisket. Table 2 will judge 6 other team slices of brisket, and then once you get ribs, you rotate tables, and so you're always getting a new judge, which helps make it fair, and it's completely double blind judging too, so that's always good.
That's smart.
And so, is there rounds to it, or are these like multiple day things where like the first day of judging like makes it to the finals, or is it just like what your score is? The top score is going to win.
Yeah, for most KCBS competitions, it's just that. It's just a one-day event. There was a Smithfield event several years ago where they did it was a triple header, and then they the top, I don't know, like 10 teams made it to the next round, and then those top 4 made it to the next round. But most of the time, it's just a one-day cook.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I want to go to one of these.
Yeah.
Do they come out here?
The only one that's out here right now is the one that's in Boulder City Memorial Day weekend. I'm trying to get one organized with Bass Pro Shop that we can hopefully do sometime in 2025, trying to work that. We used to have the one on Fremont, but then COVID happened and stuff, and haven't been back. So
We lost numerous things because of COVID.
yeah,
Unfortunately.
yeah. But there's usually some in California, Arizona, Utah. That's mainly the distance that I travel, unless I go to the World Championships to cook. Yeah.
And that's in Nashville?
Tennessee. There's a couple different ones, which is funny. So Memphis in May is next weekend, but that's not KCBS. That's a Memphis style, and they do whole hogs and stuff. And then there's the American Royal, which is in Kansas City at the Speedway, and then there's the Jack Daniel's Invitational in Tennessee, and the Houston Rodeo. So there's a few different ones, but the Jack is the most prestigious one, and that's the one I cooked at the past 2 years.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to make sure I'm following along to see when there is one in California or Arizona.
Yeah. Riverside is June 29th. I'll be at that one too.
Is that on a weekend?
Yeah, they're always on a Saturday.
Okay.
Oh, you can make that.
Yeah. All right.
No, I got to get if anything, maybe I got to get my son out to one because he has his palate. He's 5 years old, which very, very limited palate. Like the one meat he eats, bacon.
There.
And I had to force him. Not force him. I had to catch him with his mouth open, and I chucked it in his mouth real quick. And all of a sudden, he bit down. And he was like, "I'm like, yeah, it's amazing, right?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "And that's his meat." And I've been trying to get him into any kind of steak or any other kind of meat, and he wants nothing about it. Getting him out there, to have him go out there, he's very intrigued on how things operate. So, and he's getting him out to something like that and letting him just see might spark that curiosity. And I know it's one of those things. I know as soon as he takes a bite, it's like it'll do everything past that. Like there'll don't need. It's just like the bacon. As soon as he bit down that bacon, you realize like, oh, this is delicious. I'm like, yes, it is. Bacon is delicious, and almost all meats are delicious. But no.
The one thing about barbecue competitions that some people don't realize is that you don't get to taste the competitors' food unless you're like friends and family. So like at the Best Damn Barbecue, people will show up, and that's one of their biggest frustrations is there's vendors who sell barbecue, but it's not the Champion Pitmasters barbecue. It's still good, but they're like, oh, I wish we could taste this. And some competitions, they'll do like a People's Choice. For me, if I've got extras and they're friends and family, I can give it. But with the health district, you just have to follow all those rules.
Oh, the biggest thing is I just want to use it for just to intrigue him.
Yeah.
Just let him, because I know he's going to see everything going on. Like, ooh.
Yeah, slice of Wagyu brisket. I would say that he'd be okay with that.
Better be.
Right?
So is it common for people to use Wagyu brisket like outside of the competition? Like if I go to a spot that I'm getting some brisket?
Not so much. If you live in Idaho, so Snake River Farms is based in Idaho, and that's where they have the American Wagyu. So if you live up there, they actually have it in the grocery store. Some restaurants carry it sometimes, obviously at a higher price point. But yeah, I would say most of the time backyard cooks are not using it. But for competitions, most of the time now the winning teams are using either Wagyu or A9 from Australia. So it's super marbled. Yeah.
That
This
sounds
is making me-
delicious.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is just making me
I
hungry.
need to
when it
find
comes
somewhere
down
that
to it.
has that now just to try it. 'cause
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is just making me hungry when it comes down to it.
Well, if you go to Jesse Ray's barbecue, he actually just got a great deal on some Snake River Farms cases. His vendor had them for like 50% off. So I just bought a case from him. So honestly, if you go to Jesse Ray's and say Christie sent you, you might luck out and he might hook you up with one. They're like $7.50 a pound right now, but it's comparatively
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's worth that.
because I know he has like 4 cases when I left.
I lived in Texas for 8 years, and it's like it's hard for me to even order brisket when I'm
Yeah.
not there,
Yeah.
unless it is somewhere like high end or something that's recommended like crazy. Because it's like it's kind of hard to beat
Yeah.
living in Texas for a while, and there's everybody knows their brisket out there.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
What state has the best barbecue?
Oh, that's hard to say. And the reason it's so hard is because I don't actually eat a lot of barbecue from other places because I
Yeah.
cook it so much and I practice, and so I'm just like when I'm eating out, I want something totally different. I want Mexican food or whatever, but everyone's got their own style. Like Carolina's has their vinegar, and then Kansas City a little sweet. I do like Texas with the salt, pepper, garlic. Just really.
So if anything, that would okay. So let me rephrase that question. What style do you like the most?
Yeah.
So if anything, because when you're competing, do you choose? I mean, obviously, is it depending on where you're competing, what style you're going to go after, or like you said, is it just more likely you see your judges and you're like, all right, this is the approach I'm going to use.
Yeah, a little bit of both. I would say that the first time I cooked in California, I assumed they wanted spicy, and I learned later from the other teams that they don't. They prefer sweeter in California, so I tend to do those profiles. Basically, my ribs and my pork are pretty much always going to be sweet Kansas City style. Brisket, I love the salt, pepper, Texas style. Like that's pretty much the direction I go with that. And then chicken is a little more Kansas City, but a little bit of vinegar pop to it too.
I'll say that again.
Am I getting you guys hungry?
I
Yes.
think we're having barbecue for lunch.
Yeah.
No matter what, I think on my
I
way
should have
home-
brought some.
Yeah, I think no matter what, on my way home, I don't know what my wife's cooking for dinner. I'm grabbing a piece of
Nice.
meat from the store.
There you go. Then I've done my job.
Oh yeah.
I do work with the National Beef Council and the Pork Council and some of those others too to, kind of educate about meat and help promote that too. So I've done my job.
What's your favorite cut to cook? Or do you have one, should I say?
Yeah. So I love a ribeye because you can't go wrong with ribeye. It cooks fine every time. I love plate ribs, beef plate ribs, the big dino bones, just because again, that meat is so marbled. Even if you were to get a choice or a prime grade, it's going to be as marbled as not as marbled as Wagyu, but very marbled. It's very forgiving. And then from the plate rib, I like it when they cut it flanken style, which is the Korean rib style, because those you can just throw on the grill really quick. So I'm a beef girl. I tend to like those cuts. I do like a brisket, but it just takes a little bit longer. And
Yeah, it's always time is always the issue when it comes down
Yeah.
to it. Like I want to, I'm like, I
yeah,
don't know if I want to soak that much time. I can just grab a ribeye real quick. Perfect. All right, we're done.
Yep.
And move on with my day.
Ribeye is my go-to for sure, and I've gotten into the habit now of getting them a little thicker, and I'll throw them in the oven, reverse sear, and then throw them on the grill to finish them.
yeah.
And they turn out exactly the right way every time now. So I think I've got that down. My
Nice.
kids, whenever I'm like, we're gonna have steak, they're like, all right, let's go. It's funny because we grew up with our mom ordering
no.
thin cuts of sirloin and charring it to death, where it's
right.
that was
Or-
what we thought steak was.
Or a fillet butterflied. Well done.
Yeah. Well,
Well
my whole
done.
family likes well done.
Yeah.
And I forgive them because it's going in their mouth, not mine.
Yeah.
But they order their filet the same way.
We didn't know, I didn't know steak wasn't supposed to be that way until I became adult, joined
Yeah.
the army, got away, and was like, hey, try this.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this?
right.
Oh, I tell my mom every time if we're at a steak restaurant, I'm like, you're getting the worst cut of meat in that refrigerator, right? Like that, he's literally looking for it doesn't matter because
Right.
he's about to burn the living hell out of this thing.
Yeah.
Because my mom's like, if she sees any kind of reddish,
Yes.
anything in there, she just can't. She'll try to eat it because
Yep.
she doesn't want to send it back.
Oh,
And
my
then
family will send it back and say put it back on the
She
grill.
used to send it back.
Oh, no, I'm not saying she won't.
Yeah.
I say she tries
Yeah.
not to. She gets a half bite in, or she gets through cutting and looking at the center, and then she's like, I can't. I'm like, what do you mean you can't? Like, it's like, it's already, you tortured that piece of meat enough.
Yeah.
Like, just, it's,
Well, that's
But-
where I think the cut matters, though. Right?
Sure.
I think a ribeye is really forgiving. You're not getting tough, gristly fat. Whereas a sirloin
That's our
that's
problem.
chewy,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Anytime in her mind, fat is just chewy. I'm like, no. If it's cooked properly and it's right, nope, no, it's not. It should just melt in your mouth and be amazing. Yep. Like, no, the first time I had a rare steak was first time going over to my, at the time, girlfriend's parents' house. Her mom was cooking dinner and she cooked steaks. I just knew that we were having steak. Food got put down in front of me. I cut into it, and I've never had a rare piece of meat in my life, and it was rare. And I shut my mouth, and I ate that entire steak and didn't say a damn word. And later on, I ended up telling her about this, and I was like, yeah, that's the first time I've had a rare steak. And, like, first experience, I was kind of like, okay. And then I had it again. I'm like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
And then steak became my favorite meat, like, instantly, like, overnight. Like, I was like, oh, I just have been literally eating this, in my eyes, at least for me, wrong the entire damn time. Like, now, if anything, only tomahawks, I'll get medium rare only because of how thick it is.
Sure.
Because I've gotten that black and blue once, and like the waiter looked at me like, "Are you crazy?" I'm like, "That's what I want." And then I've just come to realize like I want it to be cooked a little bit more. And if you say black and blue, but I want it warm on the inside, you just the guy's like, "That's not black and blue, buddy."
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, that's fine. But anything that is like 14, 16 ounce, black and blue.
Yeah.
Just give it a quick sear and get it the hell off there, and that's absolutely perfect. And my parents are watching me eat, and they're like, I can't believe you're eating that.
Right.
Like, I can't believe you're not eating this. What do you mean? Like,
I won't go that far. I like medium rare.
Yeah. But I would say that one thing I have learned is there are a lot of people who like their steaks cooked differently. And instead of being like some social media influencers who are like, you're the devil, why even eat red meat? I am more accepting. If that's how you like your meat, let me teach you how to cook it properly so that it at least tastes good.
Yeah.
So I think that could probably be comparable with the tint industry. Like some people are going to go with the high end and they're going to do it the right way, so to speak. And some people may not be in their budget, or that may not be their preference. And so you just have to adapt and not shut them out.
oh no, absolutely. No.
Yeah, I've said that recently. Like, you know what? Like, other than in the industry, there's always been a thing where people even advertise with like, "We fixed your $99 tint job," and it used to be something that I would even joke about. But it's like, you know what? Like, that person, that's what they can afford. That's what they can afford. And the person that's installing that's where they're at in their journey of learning how to tint and seeing what they can charge. And it's what they can get business for right now. Yeah. And if they can turn that into making a living from doing that, fine. That doesn't affect us because our customers are willing to pay more, and because quality is more of a concern, or they have a bigger income and they just have the ability to do it. Like, you have all those different segments. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Yep. I think it's better to be accepting to that situation than,
No, absolutely. Everyone has a starting point in the journey, and they have their different path when it comes down to it. Yeah. Like you said, like not shutting that person out. Like for us, it's like, what problem are you trying to solve?
Exactly.
Like I don't need to sell you my high-end stuff. Like if that's not what you're trying, like you just want your windows dark. I just want privacy.
Yeah.
Well, I have a product for that. Absolutely.
Sure.
You don't have to go with the high-end super heat rejection. All this. No, if you're just looking to get like, I don't want people seeing it in my car. Like my AC works just fine.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't want people seeing it in my car. It's like, okay, I have a product for that. Absolutely. Yeah. You know, there's no reason to criticize past that. Yeah.
You eat your well done meat.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have my medium rare.
I posted a well done prime rib like around Christmas time, and the comments were insane. Imagine. But I was like, you know what? But then there was also the comments that came out of the woodwork of, thank you, this is how I like it, and what temperature did you cook it to? This is what I always want, but I never get. And so there are the people out there who you can solve a problem for.
No, that makes complete sense. No,
that's why I like the idea. I mean, engaging with stuff is really good to drive more, but like I'm more of a post and ghost, and like I don't even care what the comments are, because whatever, cool. You liked it, you didn't like it.
Sure.
Awesome. There's gonna be a wide spectrum of people that are on that path. Yeah.
And like I said, there's a reason why I was going through liking.
I know.
The comments.
Yeah. If you're not getting worked up by it, and you're just doing it strategically to like,
it
cool,
was
awesome.
Purely
Go
for
ahead, do it.
Thank you for commenting.
Yeah.
You are adding to the count of comments that are on this post.
Right.
All I want to do is keep this post going, keep the train rolling. I'm going to like and love every single one of your comments. I don't care if you're saying you don't know. A lot of the ones I was getting, this dude's slow as F. I'm like, which couple of them I did climb into, and it was like but it was gearing it towards. I was like, hey, I know how fast I am when it comes down to it. I know how good I am in my industry is. If you're ever in Vegas, come by our page, and then also you follow us podcast, and then we have an academy coming at the end of the year. come on down, let's make a video, let's compete, let's have some fun.
Nice.
And then I'd post that way. And so it's like I still would find a way to turn it into, I'm going to push back on you, have a little fun, because I know you're trying to get engagement. If anything, I'm also trying to stoke another comment out of you too, because I want you to reply back. Come on, let's keep it going, you know? And, you know, it's, you know, this past video has definitely opened my eyes to what content can do.
Yeah.
You know, and yes, have the entertaining factor to it. Be authentic.
Yeah.
Don't like. I look forward to the next competition because this guy's put on. I think he started in 2020. So this
was the fourth one.
Yeah, this was the fourth one he's done, and he's changed the competition to different parts of our industry. And this time it was aimed at flat glass. That's one thing that we can hang our hat on and say that we're really good at. We've won championships in it. So it was like, oh, we're definitely going to this one because it'll be fun. Went, experienced it, and now seeing all the content come out from it and seeing the engagement we're getting, I'm like, I texted him. I was like, dude, I understand now. Like, I can't wait till next year. Next year's gonna be so much fun. Like, I don't want to say put a character on, but I'm going to be more engaging because I'm watching myself in the video, and I'm super focused, and like, I'm like, hey, I wanted to win. There's no doubt about it. Like the champion, they're like, there was no money prize, which I thought was smart because when it comes down to it, it was just purely just competition. It came down to, I guess, bragging rights when it does.
Sure.
When it does come down to it, but they were cool. They had like almost like WWE type championship belts.
Nice.
I wanted that belt.
Yeah.
I was not.
Yeah, they're pretty cool belts.
I was not too happy about the last podcast that we did after like at the end of the event because we ended up because they had a podcast room at the event, so we were able to double up on that. Nice. Talk to some people that we haven't been able to talk to, and then like after the two guys that won, where I was like, dude, guys, we gotta go sit down. Let's go. So they came in, they set the belts on the table. I was just like, I'll try not to be super salty right now, but I am super salty right now.
But we know those guys really well, and
Yeah.
I was actually like super happy for them. Having won a competition before and know how good you feel, like you know that feeling, right? Like you're on cloud 9.
I'm the same way.
And
if my buddies win, I'm like, if it's not me, like, I'm excited for you.
Yeah, seeing him win makes me happier than when I felt for myself.
Sure.
And then even these guys, I was just like, dude, I'm like so happy for you right now because I know that you've been doing this a long time. You're passionate about it. And to have that it's amazing. It feels good.
Oh, I look forward to competing against them again, which we will end up doing at the one that I was able to win last year. We're going to that same competition again this year, and they changed the structure, or they changed the rules. They have like multiple different competitions, and I used to compete on all they offered. Now they're putting a limit on it. You can only compete in 2, which I think there's 5 different competitions now, so you can only compete in 2. So while we were doing the podcast before they won, they were like, yeah, you can not do flat glass or decorative. I'm like, those are the only 2 that I'm doing.
Yeah.
You guys, I want to come after your title in decorative film. And then also, I want to go back to back. If I go back to back, I'm pretty sure I'm hanging my hat up in that competition.
Yeah.
And then I will make my way to the judging side when it comes down to it. Because then it'll be like, I've won it back to back.
Sure.
Our company's won it technically 3 times in a row because he won it in 22. Nice. I won in 23. So it's like at that point, it's like there isn't a better time to exit. I almost got talked into exiting this year, like talking to the couple of the veteran.
So what
guys.
happens when we three-peat, but it's me that wins this year? What's your exit? What are you doing after that?
Judge.
Okay.
Judge. But we also know that's not going to happen, so I'm not too worried about it. I mean, the one year you won, I'm pretty sure, I wasn't there.
Yeah, that was strategic. You did that on purpose, just so you didn't have to say you lost.
No. I sent the second best person I knew that was going to win without me being there. Or should I say the best person to be there without me being there, and the best chance our company had to win without me being there. I sent you. I thought
we kind of got into it over who was going to get to go, and then he called me one day, you're going, I'm not going, I got to run the shop. And then I like thought about it a little bit. I'm like, this bastard. If I win now, he can just say I didn't beat him.
Right.
Like, and then we also had an event that was with one of our manufacturers like 2 weeks after that. So it was kind of like pick and choose. Am I either going to go compete or I'm going to go to the networking at our manufacturer? So I told him, I was like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to make the choice. I get paid to run the business when it comes down to it, or at least that's what I'm trying to do. And like, this is going to help me on the business side. You go compete, but you better bring something back. And he was, and if anything, I didn't like the fact that I didn't get to be there to watch him win. Yeah. Like I got to watch it thankfully live, or watching it being streamed by when they were announcing the winners. Had someone FaceTime me, so I got to watch that. I was very happy about that. But it would have been nice to be, because he's been there for every time I've won, and like I know what the feeling is. It's amazing. It's cloud 9. You're like, you can't believe that you you got there, and let alone you're able to, you pulled it off. Because at most competitions, I'm assuming, and almost the same thing on your side too, I look at the competitions we go to, especially with the one that we've won, about 30%, maybe a little bit more of those guys, and it's expanded. I used to say 25%, but at least probably 35% of the guys that are there, we are all on the same level.
Yeah.
We all can, was it the right day? Was your mindset in the right spot? Did the right things click to where you could get into the finals? And then from the finals, the same thing. It's like you have, for us, it was, there's 8 finalists. Every single one of those finalists, I would hire in a heartbeat. I would love for you to work for me. Because I know how good of work you're putting out. So at least 30% of those guys are the best of the best. And it just did everything click that day.
Right.
And then you have the middle ground people that are looking to get to that next level, which with more competing, they'll get there.
Yep.
And then unfortunately, there is always that percentage that is the ego-driven, I'm the best, it has to be my way. And then unfortunately, they are standing in front of the growth that they could have from an event like that.
Yeah.
But I
It is
think
what it
it's
is.
probably just like in our scenario, it's a stimulus for it in the future. Like get humbled a little bit, realize like, okay, I'm not as good as I thought I was. Let's come back. I mean, I think I competed at least 3 or 4 times before making the finals.
Yep.
And then that year I took second. And then it took me, we missed the year for a wedding. And then we missed the COVID year. And then we even went back and you made finals for PPF, but neither of us made finals for architectural. So there's a bunch of years that we didn't even make the finals, let alone win anything. So it's like, it wasn't like you just showed up and the first time I competed, I'm the best. It's...
I could say that for flat class, though.
Was 15 was the
first time I ever competed in that
Whatever,
division.
shut up.
But no, that for me, I started competing in auto. I consider myself an auto tinter when it comes down to it. At least I did to begin with, I guess. And that's why I went to go compete in 2012. They had a flat class, but I just was like, I want to focus on this. That's all I was doing at the time. And that's still the one that haunts me. That, if anything, that's where I do have to decide if I'm going to which divisions I'm going to pick, because the auto division is something I've always, I've considered myself a very strong automotive tinter, but I've never sniffed the finals, and it bugs me.
Yeah.
First time I compete in flat glass, literally that year, I think I installed maybe a house worth of glass, so 200 square feet, which is like a
all
project.
Cars that year.
All I did was cars, and that's the one I won. I was like,
So what
Okay.
is your favorite out of all the different competitions? What's your favorite one?
Definitely the Jack, the World Championships. I've judged it for 5 years, and so I already had a connection with the place. My sister actually works for Jack Daniels, so there's just like that connection that the two of us have. And then competing in it I never thought I would make it to the level where I would qualify to compete in it, let alone 2 years back to back. And then I got 5th place in the world in brisket. That was just like, yeah, it was surreal. This year so far I haven't qualified to cook it, but I'll go back and judge, which I'm actually looking forward to that also, because then A, I have a little bit more fun, but B, I need to be back in that 10. I need to hear, what the other world champion judges are hearing. So, but it's funny when you talk about the different variety of people who are cooking. I think we're probably about the same with the 30% top and then those figuring it out. I feel like we have kind of the American Idol effect in barbecue. So like American Idol, that kids sing or whatever, and they're horrible, and they're like, but Mama says I'm so good. And it's the same with barbecue. Like they go and they turn it in, and they're like, but my neighbors love it. And I'm like, well, there's two kind of people who will tell you. A, they might just say, yeah, it's good because they don't want to hurt your feelings. B, maybe it's good because they haven't had any other better barbecue. But when people ask me to taste their meat at a barbecue competition, I tell them before I even take it, I said, I'm going to be honest with you. If you don't want an honest answer,
don't serve it.
then don't give it to me. Because what I'm going to tell you, you might think I'm a bitch. I'm going to tell you if it's salty. I'm going to tell you if it's tight. I'm going to tell you if I love it. But it's not fair for me to just tell you, like American Idol, like, oh, you're so great, Mama loves it, because that's not going to help you grow.
Yep.
And I want to help people grow. So some people are like okay with that, and some people are like, oh, well, she doesn't know what she's talking about. I'm like, okay, take it or leave it. But
No, that was the biggest thing that I was trying to push forward in that one comment when that guy was like, oh, this is barbaric. And it's just like, well, if you want to look at it that way, sure. Or you could look at it in the way that these competitions have helped me hone my skill in, and now I'm trying to pay it forward, and I want to pass that along. And that's this is what's made me better, and I encourage people to go compete because you're going to go get humbled without a doubt. That's what happened to me in 2012. I thought I was going to go in there and dominate. I was 25 years old, if I'm not mistaken, and I thought oh, I'm going. They don't understand what's about to happen. And oh boy, did I get, because it's like they gave us like 20 minutes to do, like the time limit they give you to do one door. It's like, I'm tuning an entire car in like 45 minutes. Like, you're going to give me 20 minutes to do one door? Oh, that's an eternity. And then you actually compete. And then you realize that 20 minutes goes by like that. And you're like, what just happened? And then you're like, oh, this is completely different. And this is just a complete different setting and everything. But it's good to put yourself in that pressure cooker because now you're really testing yourself.
Yeah.
And I could have walked away from that in two ways. I could have walked away with, they don't know what they're talking about. I should have been there. Or it's like, all right, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Where can I improve? And let's build off this. And like, which people do I need to start watching? Because the couple guys I gravitated towards, and now I've become real good friends with, was like one of the guys, his name's Chris Brooks. He won the year before. That year, he podiumed in both divisions. And like, I was like, all right, I'm going to gravitate towards this guy as much as I can when I'm at these events because obviously he knows what he's doing. And he was a wealth of knowledge. And then that's the group I gravitated towards, thankfully. And I was able to check my ego. It took a little bit for me to soak that in, but I eventually did. But it's, without that competition and without that honest opinion either, like you're not going to have growth. And instead of saying, "Oh yeah, it's good," no, it's not good.
Right.
It's some, you have competitors that come in, like we had the same thing. Competitor come in, like I'm amazing, and then their windows getting judged, and it's just being marked all over the place. And those judges don't know what they're talking about. They're being biased, and that's the biggest thing is the judges are being biased. Which the one thing that we've won 3 times or four times now is being judged by a guy who owns a tint shop from Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
We're good friends with him. He's Eco Tint, Brian, that owns Eco Tint. Like, do you really think that he's like, yeah, I want to crown my competition as the best in the world? Like that makes zero sense. So to think that any of these judges are being biased, like that is just your pure and simple. Your ego's getting in the way. Like they are taking time out of their day to come judge, and they don't have an opportunity to win money. Like at least we have the opportunity to win some money.
Yeah.
They're just there to devote their time to help us perfect our craft. Like,
yeah, barbecue's the same. They don't even get paid to judge. All they get is the meat, and leftovers. But I hear teams all the time, oh, that judge didn't know what they were doing, or maybe my box got mixed up, because ours is all blind judging, so we turn it in and they switch the numbers on it. They're like, they probably didn't taste my box, and I don't make excuses. Like, I know if my meat's good that day and maybe I didn't get good scores, you know what, maybe that one judge thinks it's too spicy or too sweet, and everybody's palate is so different and opinions are so different. You just got to roll with it and cook another day.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I think that kind of thinking is so toxic. It's like victim mentality. It's actually, it's disempowering.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to blame the judges, like, okay, so what can you do about that? There's nothing you can do about that. But if maybe there's some things you can do about how you're cooking your meat or tending your window or whatever that you can actually look at and say, okay, there's some things I can get to work on. That's empowering.
Right. Or go in the judge's tent yourself.
Yeah. Go be a judge.
Right.
Find out what are they actually judging.
Taste
What's the
meat
process?
that's on the plate next to you, because maybe your meat's good, but maybe that meat, shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, it comes down to test and iterate. Like take the criticism, test it, tweak it, see how it turns out.
Yeah.
And then if anything, definitely on the other side of the coin, go judge. Because you might have thought you just cooked the most amazing thing in the world, but then you taste the one over here and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, I got some work to do.
Yeah, I got some. I gotta improve this.
Yeah.
So I'll go watch how did these guys do it? Because that clearly tastes better than what I just did.
Yeah.
Or window looks better. Like same thing.
Yeah.
No, well,
Except for yours tastes better.
Yeah.
I like really want to go eat some barbecue now.
Yeah.
Well, we might have some time.
All right.
There you go.
Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up there, right about there. I really appreciate you stepping in and coming on. Like it's nice to have the conversation when it comes to also just like that. Like it kind of lined up actually kind of perfectly. That you were able to make to help us out and fill a slot for us, because I already was going to be reaching out to you because we've done work for you in the past. We've done some graphic work for your trailers, and like when all of a sudden like we were talking about it, and I was like, not to say what we're going to talk about, because it was like more likely just the lining up of that comment on there with the competition. And I was like, that's literally what I want to talk about, is when it comes down to it, like people look at these competitions and they're like, oh, you're just doing this to make you say, oh, I'm the best. It's like, yeah, there might be a teensy part of that. It's always nice to win something. That's great. But at the same time, now where I'm at in my career, I'm trying to perfect my craft. How can I not perfect my craft if I'm not surrounded by the best?
Yeah. You want to be the best for your customer.
Yep.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, and that's the only way you're going to get better is to put yourself against the other people in your industry that are the best and see how you do. And then from there, learn and move on.
Yeah, it's amazing how much similarity. When you first called me, and I was like, sure, I can talk about it. But yeah, as we've talked today, there's like so much similarity to it.
Yeah, my initial reaction was like, yeah, let's definitely try to have her on. Like, she's awesome. She's crushing it on social media. She's local. She does competitions for what she does. It's an art. It's a craft. It's very similar to window tint. And we can talk about social media, and like that's what we're trying to get better at, which she has a giant head start on us. And like, of course, this is going to be a good conversation.
Oh, absolutely. The more is separating the fact of it's a trade. It's something that you are going to learn. No one, I'm assuming, is going to get a smoker and be like, I'm the best.
Right.
No, you got to start putting the work in. Like any other trade, when it comes down to, if you're going to perfect your craft, you have to put the work in. Find the knowledge, search the knowledge, find out where you can get some knowledge from, and then if you really want to go further than that, start competing in it. Yeah. Really test yourself against the people that are the best. That's the only way you're going to improve when it comes down to it. So,
yeah.
All right.
Cool.
So obviously they can find you at Girls Can Grill.
Yep, girlscangrill.com. And then I have all my socials. I'm at Girls Can Grill on pretty much every social network out there. And then I have my Barbecue Tips podcast that's both on YouTube and everywhere you stream platforms.
Barbecue Tips.
Yep.
That's a great name. How was that not taken?
I don't know. I have barbecuetips.com. I got it.
That's awesome.
That is actually a really
That's a killer name.
Thanks. But it's like a 15 to 30 minute podcast. It's pretty quick. And I just like rattle off things about sometimes competition barbecue, sometimes backyard barbecue. Just spew out all the education I have about barbecue.
All right. Well, you're going to see me in the comments.
Awesome.
Yeah, me too.
I like to barbecue.
Cool.
Yeah, no, I got my pellet smoker, and when I started watching Pitmasters, like I was like, ooh, I started trying to do some of the things, and then it comes down to it's a time thing. It's like I just don't have the time, but whenever I do have time to actually slow smoke something or actually put the time into it, it always pays off.
Yeah,
it always pays off every single time. So, hey guys, you know how this works. Follow along, subscribe, follow Christie with Girls Can Grill on all platforms, and Barbecue Tips.
Yep.
Barbecue Tips. Follow our podcast. Subscribe, follow along with us. We appreciate all the love and you guys following on this journey. Until next time, have a good one, guys.
Thank you. Thanks. Subscribe. I'm going to eat some meat.